The War of 1812 left behind. War of 1812 left behind many artifacts and monuments. The artifacts and monuments, careful study of which can tell a completely different version of the War of the Russ State. Or the Rhine State Library has made a whole website. Dedicated to the War of 1812 in the artifacts section there is an interesting medal. Called a plat and which was made for the centenary of the war in 1912, the medal. The medal depicts Alexander I and Napoleon. Bonaparte who are looking at each other. On the reverse side there is an interesting inscription in unity and strength, God's providence the firmness of the monarch, love for the motherland of the people. Try to think about what is depicted on the plaque. Images of two emperors who, according to the official version, fought against each other. Just considering some excerpts from a book called Monuments and Medals in memory of the military exploits of the Russian army and in memory of Emperor Alexander I. In the section in which medals are presented. In memory of the centenary of the Patriotic War, we can see the following medals: number 7, obverse. Chest, image of Emperor Napoleon to the left in a triangular. Hat and uniform, reverse side Christ the Savior Cathedral. Under the image Moscow below 1812. To the image Moscow below 1812, -11 number in the Lyceum side on the chest. 11 number in the Lyceum side on the chest, 3/4 to the left image of Emperor. Napoleon in uniform and orders the reverse. Side is similar to the medal number 7. It is similar to the medal number 7 medal made of silver with an eye at diameter 1.18. Inches, number to front side. Profile image of Emperor. Full image of Emperor Napoleon to the right in a three-eyed hat and uniform on the right, this description Napoleon 1. Note, pay attention to how the letter P is written, all the letters except the letter P are. Written in Latin, the reverse side at the top in a semicircle in memory of a five-pointed. Star in the middle 1812. In the middle 1819 well, as we see in Russia in. Russian in memory of Napoleon they. Should medal something history is. Not telling us much about this war. As I already said in previous films. About the War of 1812, the attitude towards Napoleon. The War of 1812, the attitude towards Napoleon in the 19th century was completely different in the. The 19th century was completely different in the book called Pushkin in Southern Russia, published in Moscow in 1862. Peter Barton has the following words in the month of July, namely on the 18th of July, namely on the 8th of 1821, the news of Napoleon's death came to Kishinev. It is. 1821, the news of Napoleon's death came to Kishinev. It is now difficult for us to form an idea of how amazing it was. For the people of that time, a whole epoch, a whole world of events and memories were concentrated in. Personified people of the Supreme Being still listen to. The voice of the great Lord, with him everything. Extraordinary seemed possible. A wonderful example of his courage in young people. With his field the fatal significance of Napoleon. In the destinies of our fatherland, even more. Chained accustomed from childhood to stop. Their thoughts on him, and in the Lyceum he wrote poetry. On the occasion of his return from the island of. Elba with the invasion of the French for putting personally vivid memories of his Lyceum life were associated. Now that this ruler of his thoughts was gone, he combined in one work everything that had accumulated over the years from thinking about him and from various readings about Napoleon. Also here is an excerpt. From a poem that Pushkin dedicated. Napoleon is not fat, idle, lazy. Napoleon is not fat, idle, lazy wrinkles, not a heavy gait, not early grey. Not a heavy gait, not early grey hair, not a flame gas frowned eyes, not revealing. Not a flame gas frowned eyes, not revealing whether in him the exalt hero. Within him the exalt hero torment peace in the seas executed by the. Torment peace in the seas executed by the many of the. Many of the kings no one for look his residential. Is no one for look his residential elusive now in the distance and undertaking. Elusive now in the distance and undertaking then suddenly. Suddenly irresistible as a bow thunderbolt like lightning. Irresistible as a bow thunderbolt like lightning sparkled in the light of health and courage in urine. Sparkled in the light of health and courage in urine. Sparkled in the light of health and courage and urine lords of midnight, lord of the west threatening was. Midnight lord of the west threatening was coming. It is worth noting that the shadow of. It is worth noting that the shadow of Napoleon haunted the best Russian. Napoleon haunted the best Rhine poets except Pushkin who several times addressed him holding. Rhine people easier than others to appreciate the great phenomenon of the Western world to them in this. Great phenomenon of the Western world to them in this case belongs the honor of impartiality. This belongs the honor of impartiality in the verse of the named poets about Napoleon, there are no. The verse of the named poets about Napoleon, there are no traces of popular hatred. Traces of popular hatred, complete reconciliation with the past reigns. Well, maybe Napoleon was. Past reigns well, maybe Napoleon was not just depicted next to. Emperor Alexander I apparently the. Emperor Alexander I apparently the consequences of historical events. Storied and from Napoleon was made the main. Enemy of Russia in the 10th century. In the second dedicated to the Cathedral of Christ the Savior, the following medal is presented. The following medal is presented in memory of the liberated of Moscow from. From the invasion of the no tribes the. The following medal was minted the reverse side Moscow. Music. His guy personify the crown with arms folded on his. Chest sits on a dais behind. Her shield with the coat of arms of Moscow is visible near an. Arm warrior covering his chest with a shield with the. Image of the radiant Christ. Prepares to strike with a sword and. Overturned ally, the third is looking for salvation. In flight, the inscription at the top liberation of. Moscow, according to the official version of. History, Rhine troops left. Moscow and set fire to the city after spending more than a. Month in Moscow. The French left the city. And in fact there was no battle for Moscow. No liberation, so what is? This medal for, and what in no tribes are we? This medal for, and what in no tribes are we talking about? Why do artifacts from the War of 1812 not? Not agree with the official version of? History since 1912 in Moscow and. An exhibition was held which was dedicated to the centenary of the. War of 1812 in the book which is. Called A Brief Overview of the Exhibition. A description of some of the exhibits is given. In hall number which is dedicated to. 1813-1815 years with the. 1813-1815 years were the following exhibits written on the middle. Shelf. Fly Napoleon's Savior given to. Sid and Shuvalov accompanying. Napoleon to Elba if anyone does not know. Pavel Andreevich Shuvalov was a general. Hero of the War of 1812 and fought on the. Side of the Russian Empire in the third. Iron display case uniforms of the. French troops transferred from the. Museum Quartermaster to the Museum of 1812 among. Among these uniforms there are saddles that were. Offered by Napoleon to Emperor. Alexander for a more magnificent. Uniform of the Rhine troops such as the. Cossack uniform below for the first. Film War of the Worlds. 1812 I received many comments that. I do not understand the uniform that the uniform. Was actually different however this. Small note from the book which is. Stored in the Rhine State. Library says that the uniform was. Identical and Napoleon did not like the. Quality of the uniform that was sewn in. St. Petersburg further written on the tables old books modern ears. The table's old books, modern eras, among them the infantry service Charter Russian. Among them the infantry service Charter Russian and French news from the army. French news from the army composed from Blinga Mikhailovsky. Composed from Blinga Mikhailovsky Donalskian. Alskian others, but here in general everything is clear that. There's but here in general everything is clear the infantry service charters of the Russian. Infantry service charters of the Russian French army as well as events from. French army as well as events from these armies were composed by Russian generals. Monuments and medals in memory of the military. Monuments and medals in memory of the military exploits of the Russian army here is chapter. Exploits of the Russian army here is a chapter that is dedicated to the monument in the village of. It is dedicated to the monument in the village of Tartary, which was erected in. Tartary, which was erected in 1834 on one side of the monument there. 1834 on one side of the monument, there is a signature in this place the Russian. A signature in this place the Russian army under the leadership of. Army under the leadership of. Me under the leadership of Field Marshal Kutuzov will strengthen Russia and. Marshal Kutuzov will strengthen Russia and Europe. The monument is certainly beautiful and. Europe the monument is certainly beautiful and looks. Impressive brain for some reason the. Impressive brain for some reason the French eagle is. French eagle is. French eagle is really a golden eagle with. Really a golden eagle with spread wings and a. Spread wings and a head turned to the left was used in the banners of. Turned to the left was used in the banners of Napoleon and was a symbol of the great army. Napoleon was a symbol of the great army, so what is this eagle doing on the monument to? What is this eagle doing on the monument to Russian soldiers? Is it really just? Russian soldiers, is it really just some kind of ridiculous? Kind of ridiculous mistake, a monument to Barclay d'Artali which is. Mistake, a monument to Barclay d'Artali which is located in the village Nagorny, 8. Located in the village Nagorny, 8 kilometers from the city of Chernov in the. Kilometers from the city of Chernov in the Kaliningrad region and which was. Kaliningrad region and which was ordered to be installed by King Friedrich. To be installed by King Friedrich Wilhelm II on the site where the. Wilhelm II on the site where the Commander Michael Andres died. This. Commander Michael Andres died. This monument also features a French. Monument also features a French eagle, which is more than strange especially. Eagle which is more than strange, especially considering that the family coat of arms of Prince. Considering that the family coat of arms of Prince Barclay features a double-headed eagle. Barclay features a double-headed eagle. Why did they put a French eagle on his monument? Who did the? Why did they put a French eagle on his monument? Who did the? Prince actually fight for. And our monument is the. Prince actually fight for. The monument is the victory monument of the Russian troops in the city of Kobrin. Victory monument of the Russian troops in the city of Kobrin, Republic of Belarus. But why is this monument? Belarus. Why is this monument depicting an eagle holding a. Depicting an eagle holding a round wreath in its beak in 1812. The eagle in the round. Round wreath in its beak in 1812. The eagle in the round. Round wreath in its beak in 1812. Eagle in the round wreath were the main elements of the flag of the. These were the main elements of the flag of the Napoleonic army. So why do we? Napoleonic army. Why do we think that this monument was erected to? Think that this monument was erected to Russian. Russian soldiers. No monument that was. Soldiers. No monument that was. Soldiers. The monument that was erected on the centenary of the War of 1812. Erected on the centenary of the War of 1812 is called the Monument of Grateful Russia to the. It's called the Monument of Grateful Russia to the heroes of 1812. The monument is located in the. Heroes of 1812. The monument is located in the city of Smolensk. The monument also. City of Smolensk. Monument also features an eagle and the description of the monument. Features an eagle and the description of the monument says that the composition of the monument. Symbolizes the inaccessibility of Russia. Symbolizes the inaccessibility of Russia, however, the symbol in Russia has always been a. The symbol in Russia has always been a two-headed eagle and an eagle with one head. Headed eagle and an eagle with one head turned on its side was a symbol of France with. And on its side was a symbol of France with which Russia fought as we are told and. And this eagle was on the coat of arms of the Empire of. This eagle was on the coat of arms of the Empire of Napoleon. First, another interesting feature of this monument is the given. This monument is the given map of Russia. The eastern border on this. Of Russia, the eastern border on this map runs along the Ural Mountains and the. Ural River, although according to the official. Version of history in 1812, Russia already. Completely owned Siberia. I found a German map of Russia from. 1863. The border of Russia is marked in red here, and as we can see. In the east the border runs approximately along the. The Ural Mountains, and as I already said in. Previous films, apparently the great. European army helped to recapture the territory up to the Urals. For this, the people of St. Petersburg. Thank the Protestants of the 1812 Commune. Monument to the dead of the Great Army. Monument to the dead of the Great Army near Shevodino. In France and Nicholas III gave permission. France and Nicholas III gave permission for its installation there. For its installation the French eagle is also depicted on the monument, and if not for the French eagle is also depicted on the monument, and if not for the inscription is in French then the monument. Inscription is in French then the monument. Inscription is in French then the monument would not be surprising from all the other. Could not be surprising from all the other monuments that were erected in. Monuments that were erected in memory of Russian. Free of Russian soldiers is this the only one this monument to the. Soldiers is this the only one this monument to the French in Russia turns out not to be the. French in Russia turns out not to be the only one in the same book monuments and. Only one in the same book monuments and medals in memory of the military exploits of the Russian. Because in memory of the military exploits of the Russian army, there is the following at the mention of. There is the following at the mention of October 15, 1889 in Moscow at the cemetery. October 15, 1889 in Moscow at the cemetery for foreign confessions that on the. Foreign confessions that on the Detta mountains the consecration of a. Detta mountains the consecration of a monument erected on the common grave of. Monument erected on the common grave of French soldiers who died in the War of 1812 took place. French soldiers who died in the War of 1812 took place in Moscow. The monument was erected at the. Moscow. The monument was erected at the donation of the Moscow French. Donation of the Moscow French. Donation of the Moscow French colony has the appearance of an obelisk made of. Colony has the appearance of an obelisk made of. Colony has the appearance of an obelisk made of on Drosophil history convinces us. Drosophil history convinces us that after the War of 1812 the Russian. After the War of 1812 the Russian nobility liked everything French. Nobility liked everything French and especially the French language so much that many. Especially the French language so much that many began to forget Russian words but if. Began to forget Russian words but if this is really so then really. This is really so then really why not erect a monument to the fallen. French in the same book an. French in the same book an image of a medal that was awarded to. Image of a medal that was awarded to Count Vorontsov on the front side is. Count Vorontsov on the front side is adorned with the profile of the French king. Adorned with the profile of the French king Louis XV on the backside along the circumference. Louis XV on the backside along the circumference there is an inscription presented under the prefect. There is an inscription presented under the prefect Wilder on behalf of districts of the university in the. On behalf of districts of the university in the expressions and gratitude in the center of the inscription in. Gratitude in the center of the inscription in French which is translated as. His Excellency General